One of the aspects of the lessons that we talked only briefly about was the debrief at the end of each lesson that calls upon students to reviews the goals of the lesson, as anyone would do in explicit use of good teaching strategies. But students can apply that in their classrooms by tending to debrief with themselves at the end of their class about what it was that went on in that class. Talk a little bit more about what we do in the debrief.
Well, the debriefing is an opportunity to, when we come back together as a large group at the end, it's an opportunity for us to again review what was the goal for this lesson, what did we talk about, what did you learn. So that's an opportunity for each student to reflect back on what went on during the lesson and what was the purpose of the lesson, what skills were we learning, how are we going to apply what we're learning, and how I can take this out and use it in my real life.
Right, and it's a great bridge to the student journal as well.
Oh. Absolutely, it leads right into more discovery through the student journal.
And it sets up the student beautifully to be able to accomplish the homework and have a good set or a mindset or a plan of how the homework relates to the lesson that they just did. And I think it also provides a great opportunity for the teacher, the facilitator, to listen to the students as they share what they learned in the lesson or how it applies to their life or the skills or strategies that they practiced. For the facilitator to listen and say, they got what I was hoping for.
Right. Good
or to say, they didn't, and tomorrow we better circle back
Right.
and do some reteaching, or why was this missed? What skill is missing that the students need in order to get that higher level or that more complicated task.
And we see that happen. We see facilitators who need to go back and who do go back and reteach the lesson or revisit the lesson with the students or continue discussion of the lesson because maybe it wasn't complete. And we do know that many of our lessons will carry out over several days. It's not just a one day's lesson.
Right.
And so all of this is an opportunity to revisit what we're learning and look for opportunities for generalization.
So in essence, the debrief could be considered a formative assessment. It helps the teacher know and understand that the students got what they had intended to teach or didn't, and helps them plan for the next lesson. Doesn't have to be a paper pencil test every time to be a good formative assessment, but it's really just a measure of what the students have learned.
And a compliment to the student journal for those students who are not so quick, to, at least initially, to jump in. I think what we saw a lot in the groups that we worked with was that even those students who didn't talk very much initially got permission. I mean, it got to the point where one student in the group would ask another student, well, what do you think about that? Or you know, what would you do in that situation, to draw out those students. They began to sort of get that some people were not participating. But even if that were not to happen, the student journal would give you insights into what that individual was thinking.